1955, Montgomery, Alabama. One of my heroes arrested for breaking the law because she wouldn't give up her seat to a white man. If the sheriff had been a constitutional sheriff at that time, instead of her being fingerprinted and photographed and arrested and booked into jail, a constitutional sheriff would have done this. He would have taken the call there at the sheriff's office when it came in from the bus driver from the payphone on the street. He would have told the deputy, "Come with me, deputy. We're going to go teach this person a lesson." The deputy says, "This lady's in trouble." So they get to the bus and they walk on there and they approach Rosa Parks, and the sheriff goes, "Ma'am, just what seems to be the problem here?" And she looks up at the sheriff timidly and says, "Why can't we just be left alone?" And this got to the sheriff. And he said, "You know what? Mrs. Parks, you're right. Can I sit down next to you and shake your hand?" And he sits down next to her, shakes her hand, and he says, "Where do you get off the bus?" And she said, "2 stops up on Elm Street." And he got off with her to make sure she got home safely. But before they took off to her home, he said, "Ma'am, there's a restaurant right over there. Do you need to get some sandwiches and hamburgers for your family maybe?" She goes, "Yeah, but that's an all-white restaurant." He goes, "Good, let's go." And he takes her in there, and you think now that this good sheriff is teaching the community what we do with stupid laws. And Edmund Burke said that the essence of tyranny is the enforcement of stupid laws. And we're not going to do that anymore in this country because Washington, D.C. already does that way too much. And so they go in there and they teach now, this good constitutional sheriff is teaching the community how we enforce stupid laws. We don't. And then they walk outside and there's an all-white water fountain. And he goes like this to the fountain, "Mrs. Parks, you might as well make it 3 for 3. And she takes a drink. And they go home, and Mr. Parks comes out, and he goes, "Oh no, what's wrong?" And the sheriff goes, "It's okay. It's okay. There was a little trouble on the bus, but Mr. Parks, do you have a gun in the home?" And he goes, "Yeah, a 12 gauge. And he says, "Is it loaded?" And he says, "Of course." He says, "Good, keep it that way. There might be some trouble, and you might need it. But this deputy's going to be patrolling your home every 15 minutes. Aren't you, deputy? All night long." And the deputy nods. He says, "You're going to make sure there's no trouble every chance you get, and make sure you tell the oncoming shift at 8 o'clock to do the same." And folks, that's a constitutional sheriff. And that's the same thing that he will do in protecting Rosa Parks today, the gun owner, or Rosa Parks, the tax protester, or Rosa Parks, the homeschooler, or Rosa Parks, the citizen who simply wants to be left alone with their family and their property and their lives. And I'll tell you one other thing. Constitutional sheriffs in California should have turned that water back on in the San Joaquin Valley. My dear friends, I'm honored to be here with Bill tonight. And I really am encouraged by someone who can talk about fundamental rights and freedom and the Constitution. And there's one person that's running for sheriff here in Orange County that when he swears that oath to uphold and defend the United States Constitution, there's one person running that you can guarantee will keep that oath. And it's Bill Hunt. And that's why I am very happy to endorse him tonight and do so without any reservation whatsoever. Right now, I'll end with a quote from John Adams. And he said, when the people were asking him, why would we fight the British government? They have the greatest empire, the greatest army. They have a navy. We don't. Their navy is the best in the world. How could we possibly win? And he said this, and I think he said it to us. 6 words. Duty is ours. Results are God's. Let's do our duty and leave the rest to Him. Thanks so much.